Hey guys, welcome to Module 8 of Social Work 642. This week, you will be looking at a reading in your ribbon book, chapters 6 through 8, and we have a short pop quiz in the module for this week. Was originally scheduled to be due last week, but since our proposal got moved, I shifted this one a week as well. It's a very quick pop quiz that just reviews some of the material that you guys have learned so far in the reading. So hopefully you'll find that somewhat helpful. This week also marks a very important part in your research proposals. Your data collection phase starts at this point. Now, just to recap, you guys have completed your topics, your research topics, and got your research topics approved. From there, last Sunday, you submitted your research proposal, which consisted of your research question, your literature review, data collection and methods section of your research. So at this point, we get to implement some of those things that you talked about in your methods section and your data collection section. So this week, you should start collecting baseline data. If for some reason you don't think you'll be able to start this week, I would say start next week at the very latest. If you think you're going to be somewhat delayed on getting started with your data collection, please contact me as soon as possible, because this data collection phase is very important, and you want to have as much time as you had planned to work with it. Baseline phases vary depending on your project. Most times people will give it a week or a couple weeks of baseline data. And in the baseline phase, what you're looking at is your dependent variable. Your dependent variable is the behavior that you're looking at. And a lot of you have behaviors that you may want to change, or behaviors that you're looking at, and you want to establish what does that behavior look like right now, without any intervention, just as it stands in your normal life. What does that behavior look like? So that's what your baseline phase allows you to do. Then in the intervention phase, you're still measuring that behavior, but you introduce an intervention into the research as well, and you continue to measure the behavior. So you see if the intervention had an impact on your behavior. Your intervention being your independent variable. Now, a key note to take away from this conversation is that when you're measuring your dependent variable, your behavior, you need to be consistent through both the baseline phase and the intervention phase. So for example, if you're measuring sleep and you're measuring it on your Fitbit or your Apple Watch, you need to continue to do that during your baseline, so you see what your sleep phase is like in your baseline period. Then when it comes time to your intervention period, you continue to do the same thing, measure it as you were, and just add in that intervention. Now, keep in mind, some of you guys have things that may be more subjective for your behaviors, like stress or anxiety, those kind of things. And if you're measuring your stress or anxiety 3 times a day at certain times each day during the baseline, you need to continue to do that during the intervention period. That way, when you look at your data, once you're finished with your research, you have an apples to apples comparison. You have data that was measured the same way in the baseline as in the intervention. So that means you have a consistent collection of data, and you can determine if truly the intervention had an effect on that. Okay, so it's a very important aspect of data collection. Now, your time frame may vary. Like I said, the baseline period may be week, 2 weeks, whatever you decided on in your method section. Your intervention period could be longer. It doesn't have to be the same period of time. It could be a month. Roughly, we have about 4 to 6 weeks of data collection here, so trying to get in as much as you can is important, but also it's up to you to determine when to end your intervention period, to give yourself enough time to complete your final paper by April 28th, I think is when it's due. So because you need enough time to look at your results and determine what the impacts of your research. Okay. All right. So in the readings this week, the readings are a little bit heavier this week, and they talk a little bit more about analyzing your data. Measuring your mean, median, mode, those measurements, statistical measurements, distributions, those kind of things. Now, material is a little bit heavy, so there are some additional videos and things in the module this week to kind of help with that. So hopefully that will kind of help mitigate some of that heavy information, okay? But that will help us as we move along in our assignments. Next week we have spring break. Yay! So you guys get a little bit of a break. But after that we'll start looking more at statistical analysis and things of that nature. And some of the assignments coming up will help you, develop a chart of your data, those kind of things. So over the next several weeks, though, I try to keep the assignments kind of light because I want to give you guys time to do the research, because I understand that the research is time consuming. So they will be a little bit light. There'll still be some reading and things of that nature, but the assignments will be somewhat fewer. But one I just want to give you a heads up about, and I've kind of mentioned in the last couple modules, is assignment 3, the city course. Now it is under content. It's right under the numbered module, so it'd probably show up right under this module in its own little folder. Now that course, just so you have a little bit of context, that's a course that we use here at Concord for our researchers. So our folks that are in my other job, besides teaching you guys, I work as a director of grants and contracts. So I'm responsible for all of our grant funded programs on campus, including our research programs. So within that, we have to ensure that our researchers understand the process for research, for human subjects review board, understand the ethical concerns and things of that nature. So this is a little mini training program that we use in that context for our researchers at Concord. So I thought it's really good information for you guys to understand, and a practical application of how that city course is integrated in and the information that's provided in an academic setting. Okay, so that's a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more time. It has modules within it, so you can complete them at your own pace and save, and then until you get finished. But I always try to tell you guys ahead of time on that one because it takes a little bit of time to complete, and then you just upload your completion certificate that you get at the end into Blackboard. Okay. Now, please know, I know you guys just submitted your research proposals, and I will be looking at that over the next couple weeks. It may take me a little time to get those graded because I intend to give you guys a great deal of feedback on those. So it'll take me a little time on each proposal to get through them. So just bear with me. I'll get them back to you as quickly as I can. And the intent with this is kind of a first draft. Your research proposal is a first draft of the research proposal, excluding a couple sections that happen after data collection. But this allows you to take my feedback that I give you and integrate it into your final project at the end. That's due April 28th. So you can make those changes and integrate them into your paper. So be sure to take a look at that feedback and use it to your advantage. Okay. Well, I think that's about all I have to cover here for Module 8. But if you have questions about your methods or your data collection, or just getting started, if you have questions about that, please reach out to me and let me know. We can work it out. If you are behind and you're not sure where to start, just definitely reach out and get started, because this is a crucial phase. We need to really get started on the data collection, and if you have some issue that will allow you to start within this week or next week, please reach out and we will definitely address those issues. So you guys enjoy Module 8 and let me know if you have questions. Okay, take care.